At the beginning of Western philosophy, long before Socrates, there was Thales of Miletus. And you know what he thought? He thought that everything was made up of water. I guess humans are 60%, which is interesting, but everything? It's a stretch, but he tried to make it work. Then, one of his contemporaries, Anaximander, who, by the way, looks a lot like the guy in this photo. Imagine this guy is your local philosopher. Anyway, Anaximander said, no, actually, everything is air. His thinking was, where does water come from? And he settled on air or vapor. Water is pressed from air, and when water is pressed, it becomes earth, and the fire was just rarefied air. Okay, fair enough. Now it's clear to us that both of these guys have massive holes in their logic, but they are from 2,500 years ago, so we can't judge them too harshly. But then a few years later, we had Empedocles come out of the woodwork and introduce a theory with less holes.
My holes aren't a curse, they're the answer!
Can you stop talking about your holes? You're making everyone uncomfortable.
Water, air, earth, fire. He posited that everything was made up of combinations of these four elements, and that all natural processes were from the coming together or the separating of these elements. So Empedocles showed that both Thales and Anaximander were wrong, while at the same time showing that they did have a point. To give these early philosophers credit, they were at least trying to come up with a simple answer to what life is. They weren't like the philosophers of today who try to complicate everything as much as possible, and then when you can't read it, they're like, oh, it's because you aren't an academic and aren't qualified to read about this. The mistake that they made, however, was that they simplified it too much. They stumbled into a problem that Einstein addressed during his time, and is something that we should keep in mind in our own explorations and theories. Make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler.